Hello again, I'm Hellhound, and welcome to the Midnight Spook Show. Here on the Horror Metal channel. The last video I did was Movie Freaks Texas Chainsaw Massacre tag, so check that out if you haven't already. And now we're going to be doing Sean Ershen's Hammer Dracula tag. Alright, another Hammer movie related video. That gets me pumped because I love those movies. So, yes, I was tagged by Sean Erschen himself. Check out his channel, check out his original video. Subscribe, and let's go ahead and get started with the Hammer Dracula tag done by Sean Erschen from the Horror Corner. Alright, question number 1. What is your favorite Hammer Dracula film? I think that'd have to be this one right here. It's a tough choice. I think the original, the first one, Horror of Dracula, is the best. A lot of people would say Prince of Darkness, which I agree, that was great as well, but the fact that Christopher Lee doesn't have any dialogue, to me, kind of takes away from it. Now, he doesn't have a lot of dialogue in this one. In fact, after he first reveals he's a vampire, he doesn't speak. He doesn't say a word for the rest of the film. He talks a lot when he first meets Jonathan Harker in the beginning, but then as soon as you find out that he's one of the undead, he doesn't have any lines. So he didn't have a lot of dialogue here, but at least he talked some. I think he's such a great voice. Like Sean Erschen said, he sounds so awesome when he talks. I think he's more, even more menacing and more intimidating and more interesting when he has that cunning, really cold, calculating voice. So at least you get the best of both worlds. You get the kind of suave, debonair, charismatic Dracula, who actually talks and has dialogue and sounds so cunning and manipulative. But we also get the evil, blood-sucking leech on 2 legs, the demonic creature of the night. So I think it's my favorite. Plus Peter Cushing's in it as Van Helsing. He's my favorite Van Helsing, and he wasn't in many of the other movies until like the later ones, which were like the worst of the bunch. So unfortunately, I wish he'd been in these. I guess he was too busy with the Frankenstein movies, which were awesome as well. He plays a great Dr. Frankenstein, but I love his Van Helsing so much. I wish he could have been in more of the movies, but he was in the next one, Brides of Dracula, but that one didn't have Christopher Lee, so I was like, damn. Alright, anyway, question number 2. The first sequel, Brides of Dracula, which I just mentioned, did not star Christopher Lee, but is considered one of the finest Hammer films. Would you have cast Lee in the film, or is it fine the way it is? Well, it's pretty good the way it is. I've got it here in this Hammer Horror Series franchise collection 8-pack. I believe there's 8 movies here. It's got Brides of Dracula, Curse of the Werewolf, Evil of Frankenstein, Phantom of the Opera, and a few others. But now, honestly, yes, I would have. I would put Christopher Lee in it. He would have been in David Peel's role. Instead of Baron Meinster, it would be Count Dracula played by Christopher Lee. Baroness Meinster could still been in it. She was a pretty cool villainess. But yeah, I think it would have been better with Christopher Lee. Because Peter Cushing was in it, and he was awesome. And I think it would have benefited from having Christopher Lee in it. I think he was originally supposed to be in it, but he dropped out, so they replaced him with David Peel. But, oh well, it is what it is. Still a great movie, but I think it would have been even better with Christopher Lee. As great as David Peel was, he could have been in it too, as like a henchman or something, a servant, or just another vampire. But I think it would have been even better with Lee, because him and Peter Cushing just are so awesome. The hero-villain dynamic between them is just so great. It's rarely ever been topped. Alright, question number 3. Dracula dies in every film in the franchise. What is your favorite Dracula death? Well, I definitely agree with Sean Erschen. When he falls off the cliff at the end of Dracula Has Risen from the Grave and gets impaled on the cross, and then like the blood comes out of his eyes and he slowly like dissolves and disintegrates. Just such a gory, such an awesome looking scene. Yeah, it's from this one here, Dracula's Risen from the Grave. Yeah, awesome ending, and it has a G rating too. That was a pretty gory death for a movie that's rated G. Did they even watch the movie? But yeah, good movie. It is the 3rd in the series, and I think that was a great death. The one thing, the first one was cool too, the burning up in the sunlight. Anyway, let's move on. Alright, question number 4. In Dracula Prince of Darkness, Lee has no dialogue. Do you think it would have been, the film would have been better if he had lines, or is it fine the way it is? Well, the fact that he doesn't talk does make him more mysterious and kind of a little scary and intimidating, but I think it's better when he talks. Like Sean Erschen said, he has such a great, eloquent voice, and I think he just seems cooler when he's more cunning and more manipulative. And as I said, I love Christopher Lee's voice. I think he just sounds so awesome. I think it's better when he talks. That's why I think Scars of Dracula is an underrated entry, because we see a lot of Christopher Lee in that one, and he's a lot of dialogue, probably the most of the series. So as great as this movie is, it's so awesome. I think it would have been a little better if he spoke, at least through, at least had some lines, but he's completely mute throughout the whole thing. Still a great movie though, but yeah, I agree with Sean Erschen. It'd be better if he talked. All right, question number 5. What is your favorite Van Helsing moment in the franchise? Well, I agree with Sean Erschen once again. I love the end of Horror Dracula where he fights the vampire count. He busts in, they have a fight. He rips down the curtains and then puts two candlesticks together and watches as Dracula burns up in the sunlight. It's such a cool effect, too. They actually cut some of it out. It's censored. I wish they would release the unrated version. I think it was released in Japan or somewhere. But come on, man. We need to get an unrated version. I want to see the full Dracula Death in that because it was such a cool thing. And it's like he immediately goes from looking like himself to like burned and then a pile of ashes. It happens too fast. There was like a few phases in between that. It looks really awesome. I've seen the special effect. I've seen the unedited version, the full sequence on the internet before, but they need to put it on a DVD because that'd be cool. Maybe they'll release a Blu-ray someday and we'll get that because that looked really cool. In fact, if they have released something like that and I don't know about it, please let me know in the comments because I'm all over that. Yeah, such a cool scene. That's definitely my favorite Van Helsing moment. All right, question number 6. Who is your favorite actor or actress, aside from Christopher Lee and Peter Cushing, in the franchise? I'm afraid I'm going to have to go with Ralph Bates, who played Lord Courtly in Taste the Blood of Dracula. He was like Dracula's servant. He's the one who resurrected him, and he was really awesome. I think originally I actually heard he was supposed to be the main villain because Christopher Lee didn't want to be in it, but then when Lee became available, they rewrote it to where Dracula was the villain, and they gave Ralph Bates a more minor role. But he was just cool. He played a great villain. He was just deliciously evil and delightful to watch. I loved watching him. He had some great lines. He wasn't in it long enough, but he was really awesome. He was also in Horror of Frankenstein and some other Hammer movies as well. Yeah, he was awesome. Ralph Bates is really cool, and he was great in this movie. I wish he was in it longer. So he's probably my other favorite actor. There's a lot of great ones, though, but he's probably my favorite next to Lee and Cushing. All right, question number 7. What is your favorite Dracula kill in the franchise? Once again, I agree with Sean Erschen. Stabbing his female servant to death with a knife in Scars of Dracula. It was just so out of nowhere and just so like over the top. It's like you don't see Dracula doing stuff like that very often. You know, like stabbing somebody. Usually he feeds on somebody, drains them of their blood, or makes them into a vampire or something. But stabbing somebody with a knife, it's a weird thing to see a vampire do, but it's just so cool. It's such a brutal and disturbing scene. I think it was done very well. It's very over the top and just very awesome. And this is an underrated movie. Lee is in this a lot. He has a lot of lines. It's great. I don't know why people hate on it so much. I think it's awesome. That was definitely a standout moment to me. So I agree with Sean Erschen. That was my favorite Dracula kill. That was just crazy and just so fascinating. All right, what is the worst Hammer Dracula film? Well, I actually don't own this one, but it's Legend of the Seven Golden Vampires. Christopher Lee wasn't even in it. It was weird. It's a weird kung fu karate movie. It was just a mess. It was all over the place. It was just like, oh man, it was too convoluted, just ridiculous. Yeah, Count Dracula, who looks nothing like Christopher Lee, turns into like this other guy, transforms into this karate master or something, and there's all these kung fu stars. I don't even remember. Peter Cushing's in it. That's the only good thing about it. The rest of the movie is just a train wreck. That's easily the worst. But a lot of people don't count that one. I don't even own it. So if you don't count that one, if Legend of the Seven Golden Vampires doesn't count, which is definitely the worst, I'd say the worst of the Christopher Lee movies is Satanic Rites of Dracula. This is the final one in the series, and like the previous movie, it takes place in present day. It takes place in 1975, I believe. I think this is or 73 is when it was made. I don't know. Yeah, this movie's public domain, so it's really easy to find on DVD. But yeah, I definitely think that it's the worst out of the Christopher Lee films. You know, not counting Seven Golden Vampires. This one's the worst. It's not too bad. It's just really weird. Christopher Lee, like his Dracula, he seems like he's really tired of the part. He seems like he's sick of playing it, and it really shows. He like wants world domination. He's like this evil Lex Luthor type figure in this. It's really weird. Very forgettable. I don't even think that Dracula AD 1972, the previous film, was that bad, but this movie was pretty bad. This was not a good follow-up. This is easily the worst of the series. It has its moments. It's not god-awful, but it's definitely one of the weaker ones. It's definitely the weakest out of the Lee films, for sure. All right, so yeah, that's the worst one. What is your favorite Dracula moment in the franchise? That's question number 9. I'd say I agree with Sean Erschen once again. Horror of Dracula, when you first see him reveal himself as a vampire, a fresh kill, you see the blood dripping from his fangs, he just looks so evil and just so malicious. That was just a cool scene. It was such an awesome reveal. I mean, we already knew he was going to be a vampire, but that was just so shocking and just so abrupt. It was just like, whoa, that is just so badass. It looks so cool. The iconic image of Lee with his fangs out is just one of the scariest things ever. And like, and there's not enough of that in other Dracula movies. You know, that was just too cool. I love that. It never gets old to me. It always looks awesome. I know it's a little dated, whatever. The fangs may look kind of fake, but I think it looks great. I think it's just really, really cool. This is definitely my favorite Dracula one. There's so many to choose from, but I'll go with that one. All right, the final question. Question number 10. In Dracula AD 1972, they brought Dracula into the modern age. Do you think that was the right choice? If not, what would you have done differently? I think it was the right choice because we already had plenty of Dracula movies set like in the past, so it was cool to bring it to a more contemporary setting, something different. You know, we don't have a lot of Dracula movies in the modern age. I think that was actually kind of refreshing to see. It was done something different. I don't think it was as good as it could be. It could have been executed a little better. The hippie characters kind of get on my nerves a little bit. But Peter Cushing was in it the first time him and Lee were in a Dracula movie together since the very first one, which is awesome. So it's great seeing him again, and he plays the original Van Helsing, and then a descendant of his who looks exactly like him, played by the same actor. But yeah, I don't think this movie's as bad as everybody says it is. I think it's not one of the better ones, but it's not, you know, definitely not the worst either. I think it was cool bringing it to the modern setting. As soon as you see Dracula get killed at the beginning, that shows an airplane in the air. It's like, whoa, an airplane. It's like, wow, we're in the present day. I think it's really cool, and I love the 70s. I love 70s horror films. So, you know, this one actually has a 70s feel. You know, the other films, you know, were made. They started in the late 50s, but they never felt like, you know, they didn't take place in the modern age, obviously, so they didn't really feel like that. This really feels like a 70s horror film, which is awesome. Kind of has an exploitation style feel to it too, a little bit. But yeah, I think it was the right choice for sure. Could have been executed a little better. You know, it's not all it could have been, but I think it's pretty good. And it's great to see Lee and Cushing together again, finally. But yeah, so yeah, I think it's pretty good. I think it's a little underrated, but not one of the best either. But yeah, I do think it was the right choice. I think it's a good idea to bring it to the modern age. But yeah, I love these movies. I love these Hammer Dracula films. I wish they would have made more, but I understand the series was kind of going downhill big time, and Christopher Lee was tired of playing the character. He already played him enough. He played him way more than any other actor who played Dracula. So really awesome stuff. I highly recommend these movies. You haven't watched them. All right, guys, thank you for watching. I'm Hellhound. Thank you for watching my Midnight Spook Show. And here on the Horror Metal channel, check out Sean Ershen's original video and subscribe to the channel. Thank you for watching. See you guys later. Until next time.